Hello, everyone. My name is John Michael, and today will be the first in a series of workshops designed to make Worthington an accepting and opening place for our new immigrant neighbors. As your director, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to lead this initiative because I have the experience, I have a vision that I'm willing to share, and because I understand the impact and the importance of a diverse community. Why me? In order for these residents and immigrants that exist in Worthington, Minnesota, all public managers will have to be qualified. In order to be publicly qualified, public managers will have to excel in three key areas. I and other public managers will have to be effective in the following. First off, leadership. In order for the city and new immigrants to thrive, I will have to exhibit effective leadership. This will be done in a few different ways. First off, and most importantly, I will have to understand the mission and have a vision as stated by Michael Dukakis. Having a vision will give me the ability not only to get things done, but it will also allow me to get the most out of my followers. Also, we're going to have to hire the right people. The work of Cohen highlights the problems in hiring the right person for the job in the public sector. In Worthington, for example, we'll be looking to hire people with multilingual abilities. This will be even more difficult as the demographic change all across the United States, especially in rural areas. I will hope to accomplish this within reason by hiring people who understand that public service is not so much about them, but more about the community. And finally, it will be important to note the public-private sector relationship. In the case of new immigrants coming into Worthington, it is important to note that the benefits as well as the drawbacks, In order for our initiative to work, an open dialogue between not only the private business and citizens will have to be open within our organization. This is important for two reasons. First off, local business owners will have more day-to-day interaction with these new immigrants than our organization will. Thus, their feedback is important to achieving our goal. Secondly, it should be noted that a public organization will not only be limited by certain legal constraints, but in our case of being a small rural town, also a lack of resources. We must run our organization effectively and efficiently in order to achieve our goals. Now, there's a bunch of pros and cons in the changing demographic landscape. The United States has always been considered the bastion of liberty and freedom in the world. Worthington is no different. The vast majority of us here today are descendants of immigrants. Before a strategic plan can be put together, we must take time to note the pros and cons of immigration in a general sense. Most of these will apply directly to us here in Worthington. First off, the negative aspects. Resources. All communities and public programs dealing with the thought of limited resources. We are no different. The increase in the number of residents in our community is bound to put a strain that would impact any community. New immigrants who move to Worthington will need all the things that long-term residents of Worthington have grown accustomed to. A partial list of these are necessities of life: food, shelter, and clothing. However, there are also other necessities that come to mind, such things as adequate parking, adequate public spaces, and local hospital and police forces. It should also be noted that research has shown that immigrants do not exhibit a higher tendency to commit crime or do not impact the crime rate at all in a negative aspect. Also, the language barrier is going to be a huge obstacle for us to overcome. This is the main one for the purposes of our discussion. Most of these newfound immigrants are from non-English speaking countries. This will not only affect our problem, but also all other public and private organizations in the area. Although, due to the limited resources available at the public sector's disposal, interpreters will be in high demand but in limited supply. Finally, another negative aspect of immigration is the majority-minority divide. This is a more subtle sociological impact of new immigration and the changing cultural divide. Some of those in the current majority will not be accepting of their new friends and neighbors. Due to the closeness of Worthington, cultural acceptance and understanding will be a priority in order to necessitate our vision. Now, immigration also has a lot of positive benefits. On the net, it is a positive. That is the view of us in this organization, and should be the views of those in the community and the nation as a whole. Quoting the work of Munoz, recognizing that immigration and refugees are sources of economic and cultural vitality. She also adds that immigration strengthens our national tradition of being a beacon of hope. Here are three other areas in which immigration is a benefit on the whole. First off, there's economic benefits. New immigrants provide us with a broader and more diverse tax base. While some might come from the lowest economic strata, those here in Worthington have found gainful employment. This in turn leads to not only increased sales tax, but it also provides the foundation necessary for the growth of Worthington. Also, cultural diversity. Studies have shown that the more diverse the education, the greater knowledge and understanding is available to the youth of our nation, and in our case, Worthington. The city is not only going to benefit from more diverse classrooms, it will also bring more diversity in terms of local shopping, new ideas, and new events that our residents will be able to attend. Thus, diversity is good. Also, there is the sense of national pride. As noted by Munoz, we are a nation of immigrants and a bastion of hope. So that's another positive aspect of benefit of immigration. Also, what we're also going to need to remember, in order to meet the needs of incoming immigrants, the city of Worthington will have to excel in 3 key areas. These are as follows. First off, a sense of cultural competency. In order for us to be successful, a deep understanding of their cultural values and cultural differences have to be known with our new neighbors and coworkers. We must truly understand who these people are in order for us to help them to the best of their abilities. As Rice notes, building off the work of the United States Department of Health and Human Services, understanding culture helps public service delivery providers avoid stereotypes and biases, while at the same time promoting in a positive way the characteristics of particular groups. Let us as a group maximize the benefits of our cultural differences and mitigate the negatives. Accessibility is also going to be something that we're going to have to do. We must understand while cultural differences will play a major role in any program's success, we must also understand that the language barrier is going to be our main obstacle to our program's success. While research has shown that young children are able to pick up English very quickly, the new immigrant adults in our community will be more of a challenge. In order to overcome this problem, I propose that all print handouts be available both in Spanish for the main purposes of our immigrants, as well as English. And finally, resource management. Since we are a smaller community, our resources will be extremely limited. We will have to keep in mind with any idea or proposal that comes into our hands. In order to mitigate this limit, I call on organizations in the local government to produce documentation of where acceptable cuts can be made. The work of Cohen shows that cuts can be made, however tough decisions will have to be made. I figure in the long run that the early drawbacks we encounter from this lack of limited resources will be outweighed by the economic success of our new immigrant friends. Also, we're going to have to figure out 3 different ways to accomplish our goals. I have these in a 3-pronged approach. First off, strategic planning. Each department should have a strategic plan set out from the beginning. Which department will have different challenges in their operation. All of them should adhere to a common vision. This vision should be the successful integration of new immigrants into Worthington. However, it should be noted that acceptance of their individual and cultural values should also play a key element. At each and every stage of the process, we should also note that our decisions will have consequences. The work of Sanford and Moulton notes that decisions made by organizations at each level in the process have the power to dramatically shape the outcomes achieved intentionally and unintentionally. Thus, a strong strategic plan will help us control what is in our ability to control. Also, the sense of departmental relations. Each department should work with one another and not against one another. In a sense, we're all on the same team here. All plans should be open and communicated to other departments, kind of like an open door policy in general. Finally, we're also going to have to get community feedback on our programs. Building off the sense of a strong community, all ears and eyes should be open in each department to receive feedback from all elements in the community. The desires and complaints of those who are long-time residents should be held in the same regard as our new community neighbors and friends. We need to understand that we have the ability to either shape our community as opposed to just react to it. That's from Rainey. I feel that if we all work together, the dream of a new Worthington can be achieved. Hopefully this workshop helps share some of the goals and the challenges we will be facing. Together we will build a stronger and a better Worthington. Thank you.